Hello, everybody. Welcome to my first ever reading log. Today, I'm going to be talking about my January reading log, which I know is kind of a little bit behind because we're already over halfway through February. But still, I'd like to talk about what I read and go into a little bit more detail because I know I went into detail a lot during my entire collection thing, but I like to go a little bit more into detail, specifically with the volumes that I did read. Just be aware of spoilers ahead for a lot of different series. Let's get started. Okay, so for my first book that I read in January of 2022, we have here School Frozen in Time Book 4. So this is the final book of this series, artist by Naoshi Arakawa, the manga behind Sayonara Football and Your Lie in April, and the story is by Mizuki Sugimura. Very interesting story. Basically, it's about a group of students who go to the high school that they always go to, but they're somehow trapped in this alternate world where they have to figure out who in their group or in their group of people committed suicide a long time ago, and yet they can't seem to remember who it is. So it's about them trying to figure that out while also discovering stuff about themselves and their history, their past. It's a really well-written series. It's only 4 volumes, as I said, so it's a pretty quick read. I love the art a lot. It's very sad, but it's actually got a really nice twist at the end, and it goes really well into detail at the end of this volume. So yeah, take a look at it if you can. Up next, Volume 1 of Sutokonada, published by Seven Seas. And story and art is by the mangaka Yupichika, excuse me. So this series is about two women named Satoko and Nada. And they are from Japan and somewhere in the Middle East, or India, I can't remember, I'm sorry. But basically, it's about them moving together into a dorm or an apartment in North America, in I believe the United States, where they go to college together, and it's about them learning about each other's cultures and how they grow and how they learn. It's a nice slice of life. It's one of them 4-panel comics. So if you like that kind of style, this is definitely for you. It's very funny, very wholesome. Yeah, and it goes into detail pretty well for both of their cultures. So yeah, I would say give it a check out. Next up, the big boys. We got Goodnight Poopoon, volumes 5 and 6. There was a lot to read in these ones. I actually had a hard time reading through 5 and 6, just because I would say this is where a lot of the meat and potatoes comes in. A lot of the really sad parts happen in this part. This is when Poopoon's already an adult. You go more into the cult and stuff like that. But yeah, there's a lot to tackle here. And I'd rather not, but I would say this is where it gets really heavier than before, which is, a lot to say because the series is really heavy in itself. But yeah, if you are mentally prepared for a lot of extremely triggering things and just intense imagery and statements and just things that happen, then yeah, give this a check out. But if you're not, I would really say stay away from the series in general, just because there's so many heavy themes that could really affect you mentally. So this was a slow burner for me. I had read these very early in January, and I had a really difficult time wanting to read Volume 7 after reading Volume 6, so just as a heads up, yeah, very sad story, but I would say very sobering, and it's just a interesting look on life. So, yeah. Alright, up next, got Mashie, Volume 4. Probably one of my favorite current comedy series that I'm reading. It's very goofy. I like to say it's basically Harry Potter satire, and I mean, that's really what it is in a nutshell. Very goofy, very funny, but I will say the action is actually pretty nice in some parts. It'll surprise you in many ways, considering this is supposed to be a comedy series. It feels like Gintama in that way, where Gintama is very funny, but when it needs to be serious, it's really, really good at being serious. I would say it's around that same way. Maybe not as successful as Gintama, but that's comparing apples and oranges. So on its own, this is a very good comedy series. I just actually picked up Volume 5 not too long ago, so I can't wait to read that. coming up next, we got Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba, The Stories of Water and Flame. This is a one-shot or a short stories or whatever the heck you want to call it about Gyu and Rengoku specifically. I love this. I actually like this a lot, and there's a lot to say because I believe I mentioned in my collections video that Demon Slayer for me is not like my favorite series in the world. I thought it was very okay. But this was amazing. This is actually what I would have preferred in a way. And like, the art's gorgeous. I mean, getting to learn more about like two of like the very popular pillars is really nice to look over. And yeah, I actually like Rengoku's story more than Gyu's, but that's because I don't really like Gyu as much. But I still think Gyu's story is very, very well written and very nice. But yeah, Rengoku's story is flippin' sick. So yeah, give this a chance. It's the normal price of any other manga volume. So yeah, give this a check. Next up, Black Clover, Volume 27. Yeah, this series is, I would say, very much talked about. I won't say it's loved. I won't say it's hated. I think it's like right there in between. I very much enjoy it. I do think it has some problems with some of the characters, but luckily for me, the character that I don't really like is currently not relevant in the story, so that's nice. But yeah, very interesting. You get to see Asa practice his demon form in this one, and like how he like interacts with his demon, finds out who he is, finds out how you can use him in battle versus the vice captain of the Black Bulls, who's the guy on the cover. Yeah, just a really cool series and a really good volume actually. So I did read volume 28, which I will talk about in my February reading log, but this is a good volume, so give it a check out if you can. Next up, I read Comey, Can't Communicate, volumes 2, 3, 4, and 5, which respectively is more home life and more like descriptions and written outs for the characters. This one's got like the restaurant scene. This one is like the festival scene, but not the school festival. This is like the just like a nice thing. And then the like the athletic festival, you get to meet this girl, she's really cute, and then the school festival where they have the maid cafe. Such a great series, honestly. I love it a lot, and I think it got a lot better after the first couple of volumes. I think the comedy is ramping up and like actually funny now. Not to say that the first volumes weren't funny, but I think it really hits its stride towards the middle of the series, especially during volume 4. I think volume 4 is really well written, and so is volume 5, and of course the future volumes. But yeah, this is a great series. It is getting longer, so if you don't like a longer series, then I would try to avoid it. But if you have the chance to read it legally, then yeah, give it a chance. And last for this section, this is La Quinta Kamada, The Fifth Room. This is by Natsume Ono, which is one of my favorite one-shot people. I love this series. Not this series, excuse me. I love this one-shot. It's really interesting because it focuses on this basically this like apartment or like home, whatever you want to call it, that's above this cafe, and it's about these 4 guys. And there's a 5th person who lives there, which is why it's called the 5th room. So there's 5 rooms where everybody lives, and it kind of is like a boarding house in a way, where the people can come and go however they like. The 5th room is usually left for transfer students to the city in Italy. So yeah, it's just a nice little slice of life. You get to learn a lot about the characters, especially within such a short volume. It's only this big. The art is very unique. It has a brown tint to it, which I think is really interesting. Yeah, and I couldn't put this down when I was reading it. It's gorgeous. It's really fun. Give it a chance. And if you can get any of other Natsume Ono's work, please pick it up, because like his work is great. So yeah. Okay, up next we have Boruto volumes 12 through 13. So this is during or after you find out who Kashinroji is, which is really interesting. It's after during the defect of 2 of the people from the main villain group. Yeah, it's just I've been really liking Boruto, not gonna lie. It's been very enjoyable. The fights are still really nice. I think the manga, I don't know about the anime, but the manga is really great. Well, I won't say really great, but it is very fun. Yeah, and it's still pretty short. I mean, there's only 13 volumes out in the in America, but if I don't know, if you really need to get that itch that Naruto left behind, or really any of the action shonen of the big three or any of those, then yeah, I would still give this a chance. It's still a very fun time. You don't necessarily have to know stuff about Naruto to read this. However, I would not, be surprised if you're a little confused about what happens with certain characters or certain character dynamics. But yeah, still a fun time. Next up, Robo Sapiens, Tales of Tomorrow by Toranosuke Shimada. So this is a mix of short stories, kind of like a one-shot in a way, about a variety of tales about robots and in the future and how they go about their lives. It really features like three main robots, or there's a couple more, but basically there's like the robot that basically sits in this nuclear station and make sure that it doesn't leak or explode. It also features this couple of robots where their main goal is to make it to another planet to find something that's hospitable for humans. But if they don't make it, then create a life and be happy with themselves. So it's just a really interesting take on robots in general, especially because if you know the law of robotics, for certain things, they are kind of broken in this series, which I think is very interesting. Yeah, the visual style is nice. It's appealing to the eyes. It's very unique. And it's a pretty quick read, not going to lie. Yeah, so if you like experimental art, really interesting concepts and ideas, then yeah, give it a chance. Especially because, like, look at how cool this cover is. I mean, the colors are really nice. I really like this, like, kind of highlighter green. It's hard to tell with the lighting, but it is very bright. But yeah, give it a chance. Next up, My Solo Exchange Diary. This is part 2 by Nagatakabe. This is like her, basically, I would say autobiography or part of her autobiography. This is the second part to her My Solo Exchange Diary. So it's just her talking more about her life, about her family struggles and how she struggles with independence and also codependence, personal boundaries, alcohol, all kinds of things. And it's like, I don't know, it's just such an interesting take. This is another one of those series, a lot like Poon, where you really have to be in the right mindset because it is not necessarily the happiest thing in the world. But yeah, art's unique. The pink highlights are always really nice to see. Yeah, just a very thoughtful read. So if you like autobiographical, whew, big words, stories, then this is great. Give it a chance. Next up, probably my least favorite thing that I read from January. And yeah, I know that's kind of rude to say, but it's worth saying. So this is Stelvia, volumes 1 through 2. Our author is Zebek, and the illustrator is Ryo Akitsuki. Basically, it's about this school/station called Stelvia, where their main goal is to save Earth from meteorites, or a meteor, basically. And it's a cool concept, but I think this series is mostly plagued from having a television show trying to be adapted into a manga, and it doesn't necessarily translate amazingly. And unfortunately, like the publisher wasn't very good. There's a lot of like shading issues and a lot of problems with like colors just kind of mixing, or not really colors, but like grays and blacks just don't look very hot. So yeah, it's okay. I've heard the anime is pretty good, so I might watch it, but yeah, would I read this again? Probably not. So I'm debating on whether to keep this or not, but it's okay. Next up, one of my favorite series of all time. This is Takamibachi Volume 14. This series is amazing. I love this series. I think the covers are absolutely gorgeous. The spines are really nice too, and like just look at the art. Oh, mind-blowing. So this is by Hiroyuki Asada, and it's about this little boy here. His name is Lag Seeing. He wants to become a letter B, which is basically like the USPS of this world. And it's a really weird world because there is no sun. There's only like this fake sun that's basically lighting the entire world. And the art's gorgeous. Very interesting plot. Has some of the most interesting and beautiful shading for a manga that I've ever seen. I think the blacks are used in such a nice way to really pop certain characters and certain environments. But yeah, give it a chance if you can find it. That is, I believe you can read this on the Shonen Jump app. I don't know. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's only 20 volumes, and I just picked up the last couple volumes, so I'm about to cry my eyes out because it's about to be done. But amazing series. Give it a chance. Oh, and one of the big series that I read this last month was A Bride's Story. This is volumes 7 through 12. This is undoubtedly the most beautiful series I've ever read in terms of visuals. It is unbelievably gorgeous. Like, if you think that the covers are nice, the art is just as pretty on the inside. I will show you some of it. So if you look at here, wow, that was actually a great page to pull on. Just like the way that she draws textiles is gorgeous. The way she draws characters is amazing. It's just a very, very well crafted story. And I love it so much. There's so much I could talk about this series. I might do like a full review on it at some point. But yeah, for the most part, these covers are great. This book is great. They're hardcovers, so that's nice. Yeah, give it a chance. It's such a good one. It's by Yen Press, so yeah. Then, to fuel my Yu-Gi-Oh addiction that I sort of don't have, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Zexal Volume 6 through 7. This just goes more into the story of Zexal. And yeah, it's exactly what you'd expect. I'm not really going to go into detail about it because it's Yu-Gi-Oh! So the plot's never really been that interesting. It's usually like, we're going to go destroy the world with Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards. So yeah, just, I don't know. If you like Yu-Gi-Oh! I'd check it out. If you don't, then probably avoid it. Yeah, that's all I can really say on that. Alright, so probably the biggest thing that I picked up, or not picked up, but read during January is going to be, oh boy, this is going to shake the table. Boom, baby. It's Dragon Ball Z. Oh, here we go. Boom, baby. Alright, so Dragon Ball Z's volume 5 through 26. So I read 21 out of the 26 volumes that you could read. Yeah, it's not hard to see why the series is considered one of the best in shonen, one of the best in general, and why it's so important to shonen and to manga in general. Yeah, so what I read was everything from the end of Vegeta / Saiyan Saga all the way till the end. It's safe to say for me that I think the best arc, in my opinion, is probably Frieza. I like the Frieza saga a lot. I think it's really well built and really well managed. I think Frieza is one of the best villains in Dragon Ball in general. And yeah, Gohan is my favorite Saiyan. And what else can I say? I like Krillin a lot. Krillin's my favorite bald man in manga. It's not hard to see why. Yeah, so that's all I can really say about Dragon Ball. Alright, so coming up next, I started to read a lot of like romance novel or romance series and a lot more shoujo in general. So first up is My Love Mixup Volume 2. I talked about this. This was actually the first shoujo series that I ever picked up, which after 16 years of collecting is weird for me to say. Mostly because I found shoujo to just not be my thing. I'm not a big romance guy. I'm not a big that kind of stuff. It's too girly. Well, thank goodness I grew up because there's a lot of really good shoujo series out there, and My Love Mix-Up is one of those series, I would say. It's a very interesting story. Basically, it's about our main character who asked to borrow an eraser from a girl, and the girl wrote a person's name on it that says Ida, which is IDA, which is this guy here. So when he is using the eraser, he accidentally drops it, and this guy sees it, and he's like, oh, so you like me, huh? And basically it's about their relationship. It's about their mix-up, really, and how he grows as a character, trying to figure out himself, his sexuality, and how he sees himself with others, and it's just generally interesting. This one goes more into detail about how his friends think about him, and how he feels about men, or loving men in general and loving women still. So I think it's done really well. You gotta remember that they are in high school, so there are gonna be very ignorant statements and very ignorant people. But I think it's done in a way that it feels genuine, like that's something that would actually happen versus some series that will just do it just to piss you off in a way. So yeah, really give this a chance. The art's gorgeous. The art's by Ariko, which if you don't know is the artist behind My Love Story. So yeah, this is definitely a good one. I'll show you some of the art now. Gorgeous, pretty, beautiful. Some of the best facial expressions like ever. I mean, just look at this. It's like absolutely goofy, but great series. Up next, I was finally able to get more Chainsaw Man, so I read volumes 4 through 8, which goes into detail about Makima and all of the stuff that occurs after the like hotel building thing. So the assassin stuff and meeting various different men or whatever, the different devils. So goes into a lot of detail. I know this is where it really starts to pick up. I think I started to like it more as I read throughout, because I didn't like it very much until probably around volume 6 or so, which is when you meet Reze, and you meet the other devils and who's trying to capture Chainsaw Man. So yeah, I think there is a lot to like about it. I have started to like it definitely more now. But yeah, volume 8 really got me very confused, but also like very excited. I think it was really cool. So yeah, if you got a chance, read it. It is very, very gory though. I will keep that in mind. So next up, another fluffy manga. Yeah, what a transition from Chainsaw Man to A Sign of Affection. This is volumes 1 through 2. I read these two. This is by Sumo Rishida, which is a duo of an artist and a mangaka writer. And yeah, it's just a really great series about this girl who is deaf. So she speaks through sign language, and this dude who she meets, who is interested in learning sign language and learning more about her. And it's about her falling in love with him and trying to figure out if his feelings are mutual or if he's just doing it for some other reason. And yeah, it's just really nice. It's really cute. It's really wholesome. It'll make your heart sing. Is the best way to put it. Yeah. When I picked this up, I actually figured out that Sumo Rishida, the mangaka duo, actually created another series which I've been reading now and has been my like big series that I've been like really trying to finish because it's only like 12 volumes. But I'll go more into detail on that in February. But yeah, this is a great romance series. Give it a chance. Up next, definitely one of my favorite series of all time, probably, most likely, I'm not sure, okay, maybe I'm lying, but I would say at least in the top 20, this is Blue Giant, volumes 7 through 8, it's the omnibus, because that's how they do it here in the US, and in English publishing. Yeah, just a fantastic series about music, about jazz, about learning how to grapple with the fact that maybe you're not the best, but you're actively trying to be better. I think it goes really well into detail about artist block and that kind of understanding, and not feeling good enough, and imposter syndrome. This specific omnibus goes into a lot of detail into the pianist who is not on the cover. The cover is Tamada, and then the pianist is Sawabe Yukinori, and it's about him basically feeling rejection and being told that he sucks, basically, in a way. So it's about him growing through that, and yeah, it's just genuinely very, very, very well written. And for a series about music where a lot of people are like, well, why don't you just like watch an anime for it, because then you can hear the music. This series, I think, encapsulates how you can do music without having music. So it comes with color pages as well. The art's gorgeous. Like the way they play is like really cool. Like you can feel like the action and everything, and just like character arcs are just really nice. And yeah, just genuinely good series. I mean, I love it. So yeah, give it a chance. Yes, one of the biggest shonen series right now, Jujutsu Kaisen. This is volume 14. This is during the fight with Sukuna and the volcano guy. I'm sorry, I can't remember people's names. I'm really bad with names. But this is the aftermath of that fight, and then the fight between Itadori and the Sichi man. Mahito, I think is his name. That sounds about right. I'm really bad, clearly. But yeah, just another really good volume. And it's leading up to one of the big, not plot twists, one of the big things that occurs I'm not going to mention it because just in case you don't know it, but I've been spoiled like at least 50 times because of Twitter. So thanks, Twitter. Appreciate it. But yeah, I believe this is right before that happens. So give it a chance. Up next, one of my first BL series. This is our Not So Lonely Planet travel guide. Whew, it's quite the mouthful. I have a hard time saying this entire title just because it's a lot. But just a really nice, wholesome series about these two dudes who go to travel the world because one of them promises to get married if they go on this trip around the world. So it's about the trip. The first three countries they visit is Thailand, India, and Georgia, which is really cool because I feel like they're India and Thailand are like countries that people will talk about and people will travel to commonly. Georgia is not one of them, but now I really want to go to Georgia just from seeing the visuals here. It just seems really well thought out. It's really nice. The art's really cool. I mean, sheesh. Like, look at this. The amount of detail that goes into some of these pages is astounding. But just a really nice series and really tackling, I would say, common themes or difficulties that gay people in general or people of the LGBTQ plus community struggle with, whether that be identity or like their country's boundaries and bans and various like prohibitions, I guess is the best way to put it. But I think it's done in such a good way for people who are and are not in the LGBTQ plus community. So yeah, just a really good series. Can't wait for volume 2. And last but not least, volume 4 of Nodame Cantabile, or Cantabile. Oh man, I'm so bad with music terms. But basically, just another series about this eccentric pianist who is for some reason playing the flute on this series, and also about this composer, pianist guy who's an absolute genius. This man's right here. Overall, it's just a very interesting series. Yeah, it's got some creepos in it, but I think for the most part it's just really well written, and another one of those series where it portrays music really well. Yeah, just excited to read more. It's been really hard trying to find more volumes of this, but hopefully soon. Okay, here comes the last couple of volumes that I read during January 2022. First up, in this last section is We Never Learn, Volume 20. So if you don't know about the series, it's basically about this young student whose family is very poor, so he's trying to go to college to be able to afford to pay for them and just to have a normal, good life. But he is given this opportunity where he's given a chance to get this huge like scholarship in a way to pay for his entire school, but he has to tutor these 3 students and get them to pass their respective tests. Thing is that the 3 girls he has to teach/tutor, one of them is a math genius. However, she wants to go into writing and wants to go into literature, and the other girl is a English genius, but wants to go into astronomy and math. And then the last girl is a swimming star and is a childhood friend of his, and she's pretty bad across the board in terms of things, but she's trying to learn English so that she can go overseas to learn. So what's interesting about this series in general is that the ending is basically whatever you want it to be. The canon ending he gets with one of the main girls, but in every other subsequent volume towards the end, it's like a what if. So there's a what if for like the math quiz, there's a what if for the English girl, and there's a what if for a girl he meets at a cram school. So that's her. And yeah, so it's about their story about in the future when they're all adults and doing stuff. Yeah, she's always been screwing around with him and messing with him throughout the series. Basically, she's kind of like Tsundere in a way. But yeah, it's just this is a very nice ending. It's not my favorite out of the 4 that I've read. I know there's one more, I think, and it's going to be the one that I'm probably going to like the least, just because of the dynamic between the characters, but that will make a lot more sense when we get that volume. But yeah, this is a pretty okay ending. Next up, probably one of the better series that's coming out right now. This is Frieren. I don't know how to say this, but it's Frieren Beyond Journey's End. This is by Kanehito Yamada and Tsukasa Abe. This series is about this young elf, who basically outlives her entire party from back in the day when she was fighting demons with them. And most of them pass away except for her and one other guy. But it's about her journey with a new team, basically, and learning about their experiences and how she copes with the idea that she outlives basically everyone, so she doesn't really want to form relationships. So it's about her story in that. This second volume, in comparison to the first one, is like miles better. I like the first volume, but this second volume is mind-blowingly good. A huge, I would say, a huge part of the story comes in, and just a lot of interesting characters get introduced as well. So I'm excited to see where it goes. But yeah, genuinely, this art is gorgeous. I mean, shoot. Tsukasa Abe is an absolute genius with a pen and pencil. So excited to read more. Can't wait. Next up, before I get really sad, I'm just going to go through this real quick. This is Your Lie in April, Volume 11. This is the last volume. If you know, then you know. If you don't, then you don't. I would say watch it. I would say read it. It will make you extremely sad. And yeah, always excited to read more Naoshi Arakawa. So I'm glad that I finished this series. Yes, the ending hurt just as much as the first time when I watched it. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. Alright, from my girlfriend's collection, I actually read Skip and Loaf for Volume 2. This is a great series about this girl who moves to Tokyo to go to school from, like, basically the countryside. So it's about her learning how to acclimate in a way and be able to fit in. So she meets this guy in the first volume, and yeah, from there she's just meeting new girls and new guys. And it's just a really nice, cute, wholesome series. There's like a little bit of a romance thing, but not really. It's not the focus, so I really like that. The comedy's great. The art is great. Yeah, just genuinely just a nice series. Very fun, and you know, great faces, of course. So I really do like facial expressions when it comes to manga and anime. So this is one of those. Great series. Next up, I read Jun Miyazuki's first volume, or Miyazuki, excuse me, of After the Rain. Genuinely a really cool series. The ending left a lot to be desired, not necessarily in a bad way. I just really dislike one of the characters that got introduced / written out, and curious as to see where it goes. But I am very mad at that one character. It makes a lot of sense if you read it, but if you haven't, give it a chance. It's a nice read. But yeah, there are definitely some things that will really piss you off. But the art's nice as always. And it is a chunky boy, so it'll take you a little bit to read, but it's pretty good. And last but not least, Boys Run the Riot. I did a mini review of this on Twitter, but if you didn't read it, basically, I love this series, and I really wish there was more, but I'm happy with the 4 volumes that we received. Just a genuinely really cool series about a character who is learning about themselves, and how he wants to be his identity. It really builds up to a nice climax, especially in the series for all of the characters, and just a nice, good ending, especially considering everything that happens to the main characters. Yeah, just a great time, and I think it has a nice like rebound in terms of the characters because they go through a lot, especially in volumes 2 and 3. So yeah, excited to see what they put out next, Keitogaku. So yeah, that's gonna be it for the entire manga reading. I read 68 volumes in 31 days, which is absolutely mind-blowing to me and probably will never happen again. But you can dream, right? So yeah, if you have any suggestions for what you want me to read next, just let me know in the comments. Excited to show off the February reading log too, but that's obviously going to be at the end of February or early March, so just be ready for that. Yeah, you know what to do. Like, comment, favorite, subscribe. Give me some comments about, you know, series that you're reading or series that you read in January and what you're really hyped up for. I'd love to know, honestly. So yeah, see you in the next video.